Hey guys, how you going? This is Billy Eat World again, and today I just want to cover a topic that I know a lot of you guys are thinking about, which is this finally the end of Battlefield 4? Because with Battlefield 1 just around the corner, and as far as we know, no more DLC coming, it seems more and more like this is the case. Or so you might think, without bearing in mind that it has been almost 3 years since the launch of BF4, and yet it still has upwards of 100,000 active players. And not to mention that in that time, another Battlefield game has come and gone, so maybe that means there could be some life in the old girl yet. So to kick off, the first most important point I should make is that even though Battlefield 1 is technically a numbered game in the series, it definitely is still a spin-off. And that's because apart from indie games like Verdun, no one's really touched on the World War I setting before in the same way that DICE has with Battlefield 1. The reason that's important is because number one, apart from the lucky few people that have already played it, most of us still don't have a clear idea what it's actually going to be like. And number two, and this is the most important thing, it's such a radically different theme to BF4 that players won't naturally progress from one game to the other, which ultimately is going to cause a split player base. I mean, take Battlefield Hardline for example, which was radically different but still closer to BF4 than BF1 is. And sadly, as it turned out, it wasn't as good or better than BF4, so even though it could have potentially been a replacement, it didn't really end up going that way. On the other hand, BF1 is so different that I don't think it could ever be a direct replacement in the first place, so after the initial hype, it's gonna have to stand on its own 2 feet. And that means, even if it is an outstanding game, at the end of the day, it's still gonna create a divide between players who love the new theme and players who don't. Now, with that being said, there always is the potential with a completely new theme to attract a completely different audience. And also, obviously, with any new game in a franchise, there's always going to be new players who join the community for the first time. But like what we saw with Battlefront in particular, there's always a surge of new players to begin with, but at the end of the day, it's the hardcore fans that hold the community together. And most of those guys are going to be coming from BF4, so if the new game doesn't impress them, well, BF1 might just fizzle out just like Hardline did. As unlikely as that might be, if it does happen, I think there is a good chance BF4 might take the lead again. But with that being said, I think if BF1 does completely tank, even if people do go back to BF4, we're not going to see anything like the same level of active players. On the other hand, I think the far more likely scenario is that BF1 will be a success, so I think we can expect BF4 to take a pretty big hit. But like I pointed out, it's not like it's going to be like the transition from BF3 to BF4, and I think you are going to be able to find some decent populated servers for a while to come. Now, to finish up, in either case, like I said before, there's no new DLC coming for BF4, so whether we like it or not, that will eventually kill the game. And that's because, well, obviously people are eventually going to get sick of playing the same old maps, especially when there's less servers to choose from. Also, another flow-on effect from this is that YouTubers will eventually start to drift away from the game, which is something we've already been seeing. And YouTube is a massive part of what keeps communities interested in games these days, especially when it comes to the Battlefield franchise. So getting back to the original question, no, BF4 isn't dead yet, and BF1 isn't going to kill it outright, but the fact is the glory days are obviously over. But even so, the thing is, like what we've seen with just about every game to date, you've got to remember there is still hardcore fans keeping the games alive. There's still at least a few active servers for all of the old games, not to mention mods like Project Reality, which have become popular in their own right. So don't worry too much yet, even though the golden age of the game has long since gone. No matter what happens, I don't think we'll be able to say that Battlefield 4 is truly dead for quite some time to come. But anyway guys, that just about wraps up this quick video, so let me know what you think about this topic in the comment section below, and as always, if you like what you see, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Also, check out the links in the description below if you want to see any more of my videos, or if you want to support my channel on Patreon. And until next time, see you later, and have a good one.